You'll never see these movies the same way again. Welcome to MsMojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 deleted Disney scenes that would have changed the whole movie. For this list, we'll be looking at characters, plot lines, or scenes that were removed from Disney favorites that would have changed them drastically. We'll only be including scenes that were cut, so films that had a completely different original concept will not be included. Number 10. Scar's Fate, The Lion King.
This looks familiar. Where have I seen this before? Let me think.
The Lion King is extremely dark sometimes, as any kid who's been scarred, pun intended, by it to this day will tell you. Well, turns out audiences got spared from a couple of more upsetting character trajectories. We're glad they dumped the idea of Scar raising Simba after Mufasa's killed. But that's not the only time the production team changed the villain's fate.
And the idea was you were going to grow up with Scar and be the goof-off kid. And so it was all supposed to be this throw-off, kind of Ferris Bueller, goofing around, delightful scamp.
In early concepts for the final showdown, Scar throws Simba off Pride Rock and, believing he's won, laughs maniacally, unaware of the flames creeping toward him, eventually leading to his end. This probably came across as too scary for a kid's film, though later villain deaths have come pretty close, and instead the team created a far more satisfying resolution. Number 9. Many more emotions, Inside Out.
And that was just the beginning. Headquarters only got more crowded from there.
Talk about suppressing your emotions. Movie rewrites do tend to cut a character or two, but considering the number of Riley's feelings reached almost 30 at one point, it's safe to say that decluttering did a world of good. This story would have centered around joy and fear, not sadness, and the audience would have met characters ranging from love and hope to ennui and schadenfreude.
Your cries of pain amuse me.
All right, Schadenfreude, knock it off.
To make matters even more confusing, the emotions were all going to be given human names too. Director Pete Docter ultimately got to the heart of what he wanted to tell, and worked with the geniuses at Pixar to craft the innovative Inside Out we know today. Number 8. Lightning McQueen and the Graveyard Scene, Cars. Now, Scar's death scene was dark in a more obvious way, but the implications of this Cars sequence titled Lost are really upsetting. While trying to find his way back to the interstate, Lightning McQueen stumbles across a car graveyard, much to his and our horror. Presumably, once sentient automobiles have been impaled on trees, for goodness sake. While trying to escape, our protagonist even ends up being caught in barbed wire beside a clearly deceased vehicle. Talk about traumatic. Cars is a light-hearted, family-friendly flick about, well, cars, so morbid moments like this don't really gel with the rest of this movie's vibe. Number 7. Black Friday, Toy Story.
You weren't thinking of flying, were you? Well, you know Andy loves toys that can fly.
It's hard to imagine our favorite cowboy toy with an evil bit of stuffing in his body, but initially he was almost the villain. Pixar, being the tiny little company taking a big risk on their first 3D animated feature, was getting notes from Disney, specifically Jeffrey Katzenberg. Katzenberg continued to steer the team to make Woody edgier, which led to a day production almost stopped completely, Black Friday. Though the scene where Woody knocks Buzz out of the window is familiar, it's Woody's toy-eat-toy world mentality that makes this character feel like someone we could never root for.
Hey, off the bed! You gonna make us, Woody? No, he is. Slinky! Slinky!
Realizing that this was just not their film anymore, Pixar dropped the dark and cynical characterization, and in a matter of weeks came back with the Woody we have a friend in today. Number 6. The musical that could have been, Coco. It's hard to imagine, but Coco's opening scene was originally planned to resemble a glitzy Broadway number, providing some background on Dia de los Muertos. However, much like the plans to introduce Hector earlier as a celebrity tour bus guide, the studio eventually landed on a much more effective way to introduce the film, its concepts, and its characters. Coco's opening is an innovative way to tell the Rivera story. all the while beautifully celebrating Mexican culture and music. We're able to watch the characters grow without relying on gimmicks, and instead be fully immersed in their world, knowing exactly who Miguel is from the get-go. Number 5. Moana and her brothers, Moana. Though Moana's team toyed with minor details, such as which of Moana's animal companions would come with her across the sea, seriously, there's a shot in the trailer where Pua was her pick, this was major to the message of Moana. Moana races her brothers, plural, and proves that she's the vastly superior sailor.
Go away, this race is boys only.
I see no reason for that. I've already beaten the middles.
But producer Osnat Shur mentioned that this scene ultimately didn't steer the story in the right direction, saying, quote, "We realized that we wanted this to be a true hero's journey, in which our hero just happens to be female. We didn't want her flaw and her problem to be her gender. So, Moana soon became an only child, and a little less good at sailing."
If you can talk, you can teach. Wayfinding. Ugh. Lesson 1. Hit it.
Disney needed a strong female role model, and Moana blew everyone else out of the water. Number 4. A little sibling rivalry, The Little Mermaid.
Because I made a few pitiful attempts to elevate my station in life.
Did you ever question why this sassy sea witch had it in for King Triton? Well, an earlier concept dropped from the movie explained that they were estranged siblings, but you'd be forgiven for missing the family resemblance.
You see? The contract's legal, binding, and completely unbreakable, even for you.
Ursula had been banished from Atlantica and was rather bitter about her lot in life compared to her brothers. This subplot would have added an extra dimension to the narrative and provide some much-needed context. And clearly, we're not the only ones who think so, as it was reintroduced for the Broadway musical. Number 3. Aladdin's Mom, Aladdin.
Yeah, get rid of the mom. I go, yeah? We've been talking about that.
Mothers.
Aladdin's mom seems to have passed away before the events of Aladdin transpire, but that wasn't the original plan. At one point, she was even meant to be a major character, but as development continued, she was eventually cut. In Disney's own Black Friday, Jeffrey Katzenberg trimmed several aspects of Aladdin, specifically the mother, who was along with her son for much of his journey. Seeing the 1992 film as it is now, we know it was the right call, but it was interesting to see that behind every action, Aladdin just wants his mom to be proud of her boy.
Proud of your boy. I'll make you proud of your boy.
Number 2. Carl's brother, Up. Up's opening montage still brings a tear, or 1,000 to our eye, so it's almost impossible to believe that there was a version where it didn't even exist. The first draft revolved around two brothers isolated from the rest of the world, in a town suspended in the air.
This one actually started from a story about two princes who lived in a floating city on an alien planet. Believe it or not.
Some of the threads of this original version can be seen in the final Up. Carl's balloon house, the journey to a remote place like Paradise Falls, and even the relationship between Carl and Russell. However, to contrast with how far removed Carl feels emotionally, and even geographically, is the ever-important partnership he has with Ellie. Even with these little tweaks, these would be entirely different movies. And in some cases, I don't think I'd love them as much. Like an evil Woody? No thank you. Our number 1 does involve a villain turned hero. Can you guess who it is? Check out these other changes before we find out.
Ow! Ah!
Just imagine the tables were reversed. Would we dogs treat humans like this?
It's incredible. Yes.
I've read every scare book there is, and trust me, that move you just did, all wrong.
I think he knows the moves.
His dad's a real scarer, Wazowski.
If I never knew you, if I never felt this love, I would have no inkling of how precious life can be.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. Evil Elsa. Frozen.
Evening, gentlemen. Why are you on my mountain?
We were sent to look for Princess Anna.
Frozen taught us that true love comes in many forms, but its initial concept followed a more traditional template. Using Hans Christian Andersen's The Snow Queen as a basis, the team behind Frozen had 2 female characters who didn't have much to do with each other, with the Snow Queen character being exceedingly malicious. Robert Lopez and Kristen Anderson Lopez began to write what became Let It Go, and soon it was obvious that Elsa's emotions were far more complex than a straightforward villain.
And we started getting into the headspace of what you'd feel like if you were that isolated.
With Elsa on her way to becoming the strong woman we know, the ever-important change was suggested, making Elsa and Anna sisters, thawing the writer's block once and for all. Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from MsMojo. And be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.